Two people, same age, same salary, same brokerage app, same starting balance, $214,000. Both opened their accounts in January 2021. Both told themselves the same thing. 60% stocks, 40% bonds, set it and forget it. One of them forgot it, the other one did not forget it, but what they did instead is what this video is about. Now, before we go any further, this is not financial advice. I am not a licensed anything. I am someone who reads government data at 2 in the morning and turns it into videos. Everything here is educational. Your situation is different from everyone else's. Talk to a professional before you touch your portfolio. Alright, 2 days ago the Bureau of Labor Statistics dropped the March 2026 CPI report. The number, 3.3% year-over-year. In February, it was 2.4%. That is not a gentle drift upward, that is a jump. The energy index rose 10.9% in a single month, the largest monthly increase in that index since September 2005, according to the BLS. Gasoline alone, 21.2%. That is the biggest monthly gasoline increase since the BLS started tracking the series in 1967. Read that again and remember what year it is, but the math here works the same whether gas is surging or settling. The question underneath is structural. Fuel oil up 30.7% in March. Up 44.2% over 12 months. Core CPI, strip out food and energy, still sitting at 2.6. That tells you something. The headline number is being dragged by one sector, but that one sector is the one that touches every receipt in your wallet. And behind the energy number is the Strait of Hormuz. About 20% of global oil supply passes through that corridor. When it gets disrupted, the effects do not stay in the Middle East. They land in your gas tank and then in the CPI print, and then, eventually, in the value of the bonds sitting inside your retirement account. WTI crude nearly doubled this year. It peaked above $112 a barrel. It is sitting around $97 as of this week. According to trading data from April 10th, that is not a spike, that is a new baseline. Now here are two portfolios, two people, same starting line. The first one we will call Avery. Avery set up a classic 60-40 split in early 2021. 60% in a total US stock market index, 40% in an intermediate-term Treasury bond fund. Avery checked the allocation once, in 2021, confirmed the percentages, and never rebalanced. Not once. Life got busy. The brokerage app sent notifications, but Avery swiped them away. There was always something more urgent. Nobody tells you that not making a decision is itself a decision, it just does not feel like one. By the start of 2022, the stock side had grown, the allocation had drifted. It was closer to 68-32 by then. Heavier in equities, going into the worst year for a balanced portfolio since 1937. In 2022, that 60-40 benchmark lost roughly 17.5%, according to Luthold Group analysis. But Avery was not holding 60-40 anymore. Avery was holding 68-32. The drawdown hit harder. Avery rode it all the way down, did nothing, rode it back up in 2023 and 2024, did nothing again. By January 2026, the drift had compounded. Avery's allocation was roughly 72-28. Heavier in stocks than ever, and then March happened. The second one we will call Kai. Kai started in the same place, same balance, same 60-40, same brokerage app, same total stock index, but Kai swapped the standard Treasury bond allocation for a split. 20% in intermediate Treasuries, 10% in TIPS, and 10% in a broad commodity index. And here is the part that messes with your assumptions. Kai did not pick better stocks, did not time the market, did not have insider knowledge. Kai made one structural change to the bond side of the portfolio and then rebalanced once a year. Every January, 15 minutes, sell what had drifted high, buy what had drifted low. That is it. That is the entire strategy. April is Financial Literacy Month, by the way, but this math works in October too. It works in any month you decide to open the app and actually look. Let us run the numbers. In 2022, Avery's unbalanced 68-32 portfolio dropped approximately 19%. Kai's portfolio, with TIPS absorbing some of the inflation shock and commodities rising as energy surged, dropped approximately 11%. Same starting point, 8 percentage points of difference on $214,000. That gap is roughly $17,000 in 1 year. That is not a rounding error, that is a used car. In 2023 and 2024, both portfolios recovered. Avery's stock-heavy tilt actually helped on the upside. The S&P had strong years. Avery's portfolio outperformed Kai's by a few points annually during the bull run. That is the honest part. When stocks go up, being overweight stocks feels like genius. Nobody rebalances during a win streak. The casino does not remind you to cash chips. And every institution with a financial stake in your decision has a structural incentive to tell you the current allocation is fine. None of them make money when you say, let me trim this back to target. Now, March 2026, CPI hits 3.3, energy up 10.9 in a single month. The 10-year Treasury yield is sitting at 4.31% as of April 10th, according to U.S. Treasury data. The 10-year TIPS real yield is 1.94 per the Federal Reserve's daily series. Break-even inflation expectations 2.34, but actual CPI just printed 3.3. That gap between what the market expects and what is actually happening is where money quietly changes hands. Avery's portfolio at 72.28, the bond side, all nominal treasuries, is getting eaten. When inflation prints above the break-even rate, nominal bonds lose purchasing power in real terms. The math is not complicated. A bond paying you 4.3% while inflation runs at 3.3 gives you a real return of roughly 1%. Before taxes, after taxes, for most people that is near zero, maybe negative. It feels like checking your bank account and seeing a number that looks fine until you remember what everything costs now. The number has not changed, the weight it carries has. Kai's portfolio is built differently. The TIPS allocation adjusts principal upward in step with changes in the CPI. When inflation runs higher, the TIPS principal rises with it over time. That is not a bonus, that is the mechanism. It is literally what the instrument was designed to do. The commodity slice, meanwhile, is correlated with the same energy prices, driving the CPI spike. Oil goes up, commodities go up, and the portfolio has a natural hedge against the thing that is destroying the bond side. Let us put specific numbers on it. Start with 214,000. Avery, 72.28, all nominal bonds on the fixed income side, through the 2022 drawdown, the 2023 and 2024 recovery, and into the March 2026 shock. Estimated portfolio value as of April 2026, roughly 268,000. That is about a 25% total gain over 5 years. Sounds acceptable. Kai, same starting number, 60, 20, 10, 10, rebalanced every January. Through the same drawdown, the same recovery, into the same shock. Estimated portfolio value, roughly 289,000. That is a 35% total gain. The difference, $21,000, not because one person was smarter. Because one person spent 15 minutes a year doing something the other person kept meaning to do. You set that auto-transfer every month. You chose the index fund. You told yourself you were doing the right thing, and you were, mostly. The part nobody mentions is that the right thing in 2021 stops being the right thing when the inputs change and you do not update the equation. Here is what happened structurally. Avery's bond allocation went from a stabilizer to a drag. Nominal bonds are designed for a world where inflation stays near 2%. When CPI jumps to 3.3 and the 10-year pays 4.31, the real yield after inflation is thin. After taxes, it is thinner. The 40% of the portfolio that was supposed to be the safety net became a slow leak. A portfolio is not a photograph, it is a living ratio. And ratios drift. Stocks grow faster than bonds in bull markets. Which means your 60-40 becomes 65-35, becomes 70-30 without you doing anything. Drift is silent. Drift is not dramatic. Drift is a faucet left running overnight in a house where nobody checks the water bill. Kai's TIPS position, by contrast, was built for exactly this scenario. When inflation accelerates, TIPS principal adjusts upward. The semi-annual coupon is paid on the higher principal. The 10-year TIPS real yield of 1.94% is a real yield, meaning after inflation. Avery's nominal bond yield of 4.31 minus inflation of 3.3 gives a real yield of about 1%. Kai's tips gives 1.94, same government backing, nearly double the real return. 1% over 20 years on a six-figure portfolio, that is not a footnote. Take 100,000 in bonds, path A, nominal treasuries yielding 1% real. After 20 years, roughly 122,000 in today's dollars. Path B, tips yielding 1.94% real. After 20 years, roughly 147,000 in today's dollars. The gap, $25,000. Same risk profile, same issuer, same government, different instrument. That is not a market call, that is arithmetic. The commodity allocation adds another layer. In a world where energy shocks drive inflation, commodities are positively correlated with the thing that is hurting your bonds. Kai's 10% commodity allocation gained when oil surged. Avery's portfolio had no hedge, zero exposure to the thing that was causing the damage. Now the honest part, Kai's approach is not always better. In a low inflation world with falling rates, nominal bonds outperform tips. Between 2010 and 2020, a standard 60-40 with nominal treasuries beat nearly every modified allocation. If inflation settles back to 2% and oil drops to $60, Avery's portfolio catches up, maybe passes Kai's. The conditions matter. This is not a video telling you one portfolio is right and the other is wrong. This is a video about what happens when the conditions change and one person adjusts and the other one does not. Here is the framework. If current CPI is above the 10-year break-even rate, tips are mathematically outperforming nominal bonds in real terms at that moment. Right now, CPI is 3.3. Break-even is 2.34, based on Federal Reserve data as of early April 2026. The gap is almost a full percentage point. That is the market underpricing actual inflation. Whether that persists is uncertain, that it is happening right now is not. If energy supply disruptions are structural, not temporary, meaning the Strait of Hormuz situation and OPEC dynamics, not a one-week spike, then a commodity allocation acts as an inflation hedge. If the disruption resolves, commodities give back gains and the hedge becomes a drag. The question is not which portfolio is better, the question is which conditions are you building for? April 2026, Avery sits at the kitchen table, laptop open. The number says 268,000. It was 214,000 5 years ago. That looks like progress. It is progress, just not as much as it could have been. Same apartment building, different unit. Kai's screen says 289,000. Same 5 years, same market, same economy, same news cycle, $21,000 apart. Neither of them made a mistake. One of them made a decision once a year. The other one made the same decision once and assumed it would hold forever. The distance between those two numbers is not talent, it is not luck. It is 15 minutes every January and the willingness to admit that the answer from 5 years ago might not be the answer today.